All right, so I thought I would do a quick rundown of the tooling that I'm using to build this app. And just as a quick heads up, this is entirely client-side rendered. So if you look at the source, that is literally all of it. In terms of the HTML that gets sent, and it gets sent once for the entire application. I don't really do any bundle splitting at all, which is kind of crazy, but I still do okay. So here's a lighthouse audit I just ran. And despite the fact that I don't do any bundle splitting or anything, and I need to fix some of these little things, but whatever. Still, point is, it's not bad, right? If we look at the JavaScript source here, not sources, let's look at network. So this is the JavaScript loaded for the page. This is using polyfill IO for polyfills, which means it selectively loads things. That's a great tool, by the way. And here's my entire bundle, which is 122 kilobytes minified gzipped. And the funny thing is I use Firebase auth for authentication because I didn't want to store user passwords at all. And so for that, just that code is half the entire weight of my thing. Luckily, I can kind of lazy load it. So whatever. But I guess it showed up first. Maybe I'm not even lazy loading it. I think I got lazy and didn't actually do the lazy loading part. But I just haven't felt the need. Like, these are being used on iPads, on Wi-Fi, in offices, and once they're loaded, it is cached for offline use. So, I can go offline and I can refresh, right? And, oh my gosh, seriously? Oh, because I disabled cache. Let's try this again. All right, where's my app? Let's make sure. Service worker, oh, we have bypass for network. That's not going to work either. So let's try this again. Network, offline, there it is. Okay, so point is you can actually do the whole thing here, which is kind of neat. There's a couple things where it actually calls out to make sure that for checking for drug interactions and stuff. I'm not doing any of that stuff offline, obviously. Those are hitting external databases from National Institute of Health, so I can't just have that work offline. But the main goal here is resilience, right? I don't want anybody to lose anything, and if they don't have Wi-Fi for a minute, I don't want it to mess up their whole case, right? They can go through the entire case regardless. There's a couple things that when we look up drugs, basically, that's the only time that it needs internet. So, and to show you, this is not just some simple little demo app. There's a lot of stuff. All this content that you're seeing is all part of that JavaScript bundle. I haven't bothered splitting it out because I haven't needed to. So the tools I use to accomplish this are as follows. First of all, Preact. Preact is an awesome alternative to React. It gives you a really nice JSX-based rendering model, just like React. Very familiar API. If you're comfortable with React, there's really no reason not to use Preact, especially in my opinion once they switch over. There's a Preact X is about to be released soon-ish, I hear from Jason and company, which introduces other cool things that if there's anything that you miss in React that you wish you could have in Preact, it basically will fill that gap. Parcel is a great alternative to Webpack. I use Parcel to run my dev server and to bundle everything up. It's really, really, really great. Super fast. If you look at the benchmarks here, this matches roughly with my experience. And plus, you don't really have to set anything up. It's pretty much zero config. You give it an HTML file as your root. So if I show you here, if I go to source, this is my root HTML file. And you just have relative links here to things. And you pass this entire path, the file path for this, to Parcel, and then Parcel will, munge all these things. They will actually grab all these assets, pull it all together, and then give you a final HTML file. If you look at the dist here, and you build it, and it comes out looking like this, right? So here it's got actually hashed file names and what have you for all these things. So Parcel, amazing tool, highly recommended. For all the crazy state management stuff that I have to do for this app, if you're not aware, let me show you some of the complexity involved here. So I'm going to run a mock case. So this puts you in tour mode, but this is actually doing a lot of things. So patient name, and all the routing is done by Redux Bundler. All the state management is done by Redux Bundler. All the cache persistence stuff is done by Redux Bundler. You never lose stuff if you refresh. It's constantly being saved to local DB. IndexedDB, and sure, this is all just form so far, but these actually, there's tons. These go really deep. So if you want to go through a systems review with a patient to see what kind of stuff they have, all right, some of these go really deep in terms of specifying things. There's a lot of data being sent here, tons of stuff to track. This is simple, blah, 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 IV access, drugs you want to pick, draws completed, and at the point where you start the case here, it gets interesting, right? So here we're giving some versed, and then, so here this custom rendered SVG chart is in here as well. There's a lot of state going on here. Duration starts counting, so every second it's tracking everything. This red line starts moving across this custom rendered SVG thing. I built a tool for fast forwarding time, which was kind of interesting. So do that, and it starts cranking through here, and then it starts beeping at you to go record more vitals. Again, more chart stuff than custom rendered stuff. Point is, all of this stuff is a lot of things to track, tons of state. And if you do things, here, let me go through this real quick. All right, discontinue model. Okay. So a lot of things that, yeah, and point is, whatever, tons of stuff. So all this, tons of state to maintain at all times, and I'm doing it all with Redux Bundler, and lots of things that can trigger other things. So anytime you add a drug, it checks a drug interaction warning. Anytime you are on certain pages, like it will redirect you to sign-in pages or what have you in certain cases. Like, I don't even know where to begin to talk about how much complex state there is here. I can show you, I guess, if I go here and I type store dot get state, there's a ton of stuff it's tracking and comparing all the time. Tons of systems review stuff here, the tour state, that's boring, but it's all here. So like literally everything state-wise in this app, except for a few small cases where I'm using local state to track like whether you're currently editing something or not, it's all being run by Redux Bundler. That's the workhorse here. If you're curious about that stuff, I did write a book. It's actually free to read online if you go to read.reduxbook.com. You can check it out. I basically explain how I approach Redux and why I still use it, even though some people think it's not cool anymore, and how I use it. And I talked a little bit about Redux Bundler in here as well. So yeah, that's it. A quick little overview of the tools. If you look at my package.json here, you'll kind of see most of this stuff is all, this is my pattern library. This is all just build related stuff, Cheerios for injecting something into the HTML on build. So really, it's really not that much stuff. Preact, Redux Bundler, the binding library for that. This is all build related. Yeah, so very few dependencies, lots of work being done here by a few tools. These are by far my favorite tools, and they managed to handle tons of complexity here. So hopefully that's